Hello everybody and welcome to Grand Old Academy. Now, this is the result of the time in every Let's Player's life when they have to decide, are you gonna let fear control what you play? Are you gonna only play safe games? No, I'm not. This is a dating sim based on the freaking GOP presidential election. This is a level of meta, and this should not exist, that I have never ever gotten to on this channel before. So I'm really excited to see just how cringy this is, and because I don't think it should exist. I just cannot see this existing. That being said, it's currently being kickstarted for like $13,000. So if this is something you're interested in doing, I will put the Kickstarter in the description so that you will be able to, for some reason, give your money to these people to make this game. Now, all respect to the developers. I'm not saying they don't deserve the money. I'm just saying that this concept is just so freaking off the wall that I cannot comprehend. I mean, it's a good thing they're making it free, because I don't anticipate it. Like, what? Let's go ahead and let's start a new game. Grand Old Academy, the most prestigious private boarding school in the United States, rich with history and tradition, the alma mater of hundreds of the world's most powerful men and women. The type of school that no student could even dream of enrolling in unless they had incredible amounts of talent, connections, or money, preferably all three. The grandest. The oldest. Grand Old Academy. My new school. That'll be 28 even. What? You're fair. You owe me $28. Oh, right. Sorry. The taxi driver's words snapped me back into reality. I was standing in front of the main gate of Grand Old Academy, gazing for the first time upon what was going to be my new home. I looked through the pocketbook as the cab driver retrieved my two suitcases and set them down on the curb beside me. He slammed the trunk of the cab shut, the loud metallic thunk making me jump. I took an embarrassingly long time to count out $28 from the wad of unfamiliar currency in my hands. Finally, I had the proper amount and handed it to him with a relieved smile. The driver took the bills, looked them over, and stuffed them in his pocket. I picked up my suitcases and took a deep breath. This was it. The crucial moment. The start of... I glanced over at the driver, who was still standing on the curb beside me, looking at me expectantly. My mind began to race. What did he need? Had I done something wrong? Was I forgetting? Oh, a tip. I need to tip you. Well, if you insist. I opened my pocketbook again and began scrambling through it. I was so overwhelmed with embarrassment that it took me 3 tries just to get my money out, my clumsy, numb fingers betraying me. I'm so sorry. I'm from Japan, and we don't tip there. It's considered rude, actually. I just got off the plane this morning. This is my very first time being in the United States, or anywhere outside of Japan for that matter. I wasn't even paying attention to what I was saying. My mouth was just acting on its own, replacing the awkward silence with equally awkward chatter. Why is it that I relate with all of these these protagonists? I frantically tried to pick out a $5 bill, but all the bills looked the same to me. The scowling green faces of men I didn't recognize looked up at me, disapproving, judgmental. Yep, that's about right. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln looks at us all and is like, you don't need to spend that $5. What? You don't need to spend that. No. Just stop. If you can't even figure this out, how are you going to survive at the academy? They seemed to silently ask me with their stern frowns. At last, I found a bill that had a 5 on it. I quickly handed it to the cab driver, glad to be free of the gaze of the angry bearded man on it. The driver seemed to be taken aback. Well, thank you very much, miss, and welcome to America. He quickly got back into his cab and drove off. I was suddenly struck with a pang of uncertainty. Well, of course you are. You're about to date a freaking 50, 60-year-old man. Was that a 5 I just gave him, or was it a 50? Well, that would be good to know, but I won't hold it against you because you don't know. I had a feeling that it was going to be a long semester. It probably is. It's going to be huge! Chapter 1, Welcome to the Party. Oh, I somehow gathered up enough courage to walk through the gate. I emerged into an immaculately manicured quad, crisscrossed with busy sidewalks. I had seen pictures of the campus while I was applying, but I still felt a bit overwhelmed. It was so much bigger than I expected. Dozens of students walked by, some striding purposefully, some strolling casually and talking with friends, some dawdling and enjoying the pleasant weather. None of them seemed to take notice of me, which was just fine by me. I was holding one suitcase in each hand, clutching the handle so hard that my knuckles were turning white. I felt as if these bags, the only familiar objects in this strange place, were all that were tethering me to the earth. I was afraid that if I let go of them, I'd float away. Maybe across the ocean, back to Japan, or maybe off the face of the planet altogether. Hey, over here, it's Megan Kelly! Hey, over here! I was snapped out of my reverie by a cheerful, high-pitched voice. I turned my head and saw a short, blonde girl with perfectly coiffed hair waving at me. Hello. She ran over to me and beamed. You must be the new transfer student, right? Oh, yes. How did you know? Well, your luggage was my first clue. Oh, right. The girl giggled and held out her hand. My name is Megan Kelly. I'm going to be your roommate for the rest of this year. Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. I reluctantly set down my bags to shake her hand, and would you look at that? I didn't float away after all. I'm Mori America, but I suppose you already knew that. It's nice to meet you. Megan smiled and clapped her hands together. We're going to have so much fun together this year. I just know it. I just know it. Oh my god. Come on, Mori, let's get you to our room. I'll help you with your bags. Thank you. I fought back the urge to bow, reminding myself that I was in the U.S. now. I handed Megan the smaller of my suitcases and we began walking through the quad. Mori is my family name, by the way. You can call me by my given name, America. Oh my god. This is so cringy. Oh no. Oh, that's right. Japanese is one of those backwards name languages. That makes more sense, actually. When I first read the email about getting a new roommate, I remember thinking that America was a weird last name, especially for a Japanese person. Not that it's exactly a common first name either, I suppose. Megan led me past imposing brick academic buildings, exceptionally tended lawns, and spacious courtyards. Grand Old Academy certainly was grand. Oh, I see what you did there. And that building over there. Coming through! I can't do a good Donald Trump impression, so I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna wing it! That's actually more Bernie Sanders, I think. I don't know. How rude. Who is that? That's Donald, the biggest jerk in the whole academy. He only transferred in at the beginning of the year, but he already acts like he owns the place. Oh, this is gonna be fun! I'm so excited! I noticed that Megan had clenched her free hand into a tight fist. And the worst part is, his act is working. He's one of the most popular kids in the debate club, even though all he does is insult his opponents. Megan's face was flushed, and she was breathing more heavily than was warranted by this stroll across the quad. She obviously harbored strong feelings for Donald. Eventually, Megan shook off her anger and returned to her cheerful baseline. Nearly all the students we passed waved at Megan or shouted a happy greeting to her, and she responded to all of them in kind. So why did your parents name you America anyway? Did they always expect that you'd end up in this country someday? That's actually just a coincidence. In Japan, America phonetically means delicate flower. Oh, neat. I wonder if that's true. I have no idea. If anybody speaks Japanese, can y'all confirm or deny in the comments below? Oh, neat. I guess. There was a moment of silence. I wondered if I should say something to break it. Ask Megan about herself, tell Megan about yourself, or don't say anything. Let's ask about herself. So, what are you studying here at the academy? Political science and law. I'm not sure what I want to do after I graduate, but it'll probably be in one of those fields. Most high schools in the United States don't offer classes in law. Just another reason why Grand Old Academy is so special. Plus, it's the fact that it's a boarding school, and that it only has 3 grade levels. Is that not normal? All high schools in Japan have 3 grades. Well, in the United States, regular high schools had 4. Huh, that seems so strange to me. What are schools like in Japan? No, what's everything like in Japan? I want you to tell me all about it. Megan's face looked so eager. I didn't know how I could possibly tell her everything I knew about my home country, but her enthusiasm made me want to try. I'll do my best. And of course, I'll answer any questions you have about the United States. Sounds like a good deal. Megan continued her tour, her energy and enthusiasm showing no sign of waning. That's Keystone Dorm, and that's Independence Hall academic building behind it. Over there, a Green Mountain Dorm and Granite Dorm. There sure are a lot of dorms. Yeah, there's 50 of them. 50? Well, most of them are pretty small. Equality Dorm only houses about 20 students, for example. But the biggest ones, like Golden Dorm, have over 1,000. Wow! We'll be living in Sunshine Dorm, which is the third largest and the furthest south on campus. Well, Aloha Dorm is technically... can I go back? I don't know. Okay, I guess not. I guess I missed out on that line. The storm system sounded like it would be hard to get the hang of. Speaking of Sunshine Dorm, here we are. Megan pointed at an imposing L-shaped brick building that was accented with white columns and pink stucco. The nervousness that I felt earlier was beginning to return. What if I didn't like my room? What if I couldn't find my classes? What if... Marco! Jeb! Hi, guys! Hi! I was snapped out of my panic by Megan's cheerful shout, and my nerves settled back down. I followed Megan's gaze and saw two students dressed in fencing gear sparring on the front lawn of the dorm. The taller of the two lowered his foil to wave at Megan. Seizing his chance, the shorter student darted in and landed a blow in the center of his opponent's chest with his foil. Hit! Oof, nice one! The shorter student removed his mask, grabbed a bottle of water off the grass, and took a swig. He was, well, in a word, he was gorgeous. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is real. This is a real thing that's happening, and I don't know why. Why is this happening? Why? He had beautiful brown eyes, delicate lips, and heart-stopping cheekbones. I hope you all know this is taking everything in my power not to just say, screw this shit, and not do this. But I'm going to keep doing it, because somehow his hair was perfectly styled, even after being under his fencing mask. His brow was shining with sweat, and in the afternoon sunlight it almost looked as if he was sparkling. That was a dirty trick, Marco. No, he saw an opportunity and he took it, just like I taught him. As he said this, he took off his mask too. Like Marco, he had brown eyes, but instead of sultriness, the student's eyes exuded warmth. He wasn't exactly handsome, but his face had a sort of awkward charm to it. He reminded me of a puppy. He was sweating a bit more than Marco, but instead of making him sparkle, it just matted his hair to his forehead. You're the best mentor a guy could ask for, Jeb. And you're the best student. They high-fived. Bros! Sunshine Bros! And just how long is that attitude going to last once you two start debating against each other? Megan's comment was playful and the boys chuckled. We've agreed that we're not going to attack each other no matter how intense the debates get. Jeb knows I've got his back, and I know he's got mine. They high-fived again. And who's this lovely lady accompanying you, Megan? I felt blood rushing to my face as soon as I heard Marco call me lovely, and good lord, that smile. I tried to formulate a response, but I couldn't piece together any words. Luckily, Megan came to my rescue. This is Mori America. She's my new roommate. Oh, of course. It's nice to meet you, Miss America. A pleasure. Should I give you a tour of... I've got it covered for now, Jeb. Let's not overwhelm America on her first day. Right. Well, I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, America. Let me adjust this just a little bit. There we go. The two of them redonned their masks, picked up their foils, and resumed fencing stances. Megan led me to the front door of the dorm. They seem nice. Jeb and Marco, right? Yep, those two are inseparable. They're both on the fencing team, both in the debate club, and they're the co-RAs of the Sunshine Dorm. Marco's only a first year, but Jeb pulled some string to get him to position. Megan held the door open for me, but I stopped dead in my tracks right before entering. Wait, they're the RAs of this dorm? Yeah, what's wrong? But they're boys. Yes. The dorm's co-ed? Oh. There we go. Yeah, all the dorms at the academy are. Is that a problem? My head swam. Back in Japan, I never would have imagined living in a co-ed dorm. Relax, it's not a big deal. Each floor is still divided by gender, Girls on odd floors, boys on even floors. Let me do this one more time. Okay, sorry, okay. That made me feel a little bit easier, or a little bit better, but still, I had never so much as held hands with a boy back home, and now I'd be living in the same building as them. Oh my gosh, Desu! I noticed that Megan was looking at me with concern, so I tried my best to play it cool. Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, totally not a big deal. Not gonna stress about it. Trust me, America, you'll have a great time living here. She patted my shoulder with her free hand, looked deep into my eyes, and smiled. I felt encouraged, assuaged, accepted. I took my first step into Sunshine Dorm. The coolness of the high-ceilinged hallways was a welcome relief from the surprisingly warm February afternoon outside. Megan led me up 2 flights of stairs and a bit further down another hallway. She stopped and pointed at one of the doors. This is it. The plain wooden door was adorned with a simple dry erase whiteboard with Megan Kelly and Mori America written on it in neat block letters. Megan pulled an eagle-shaped keychain out of her pocket, of course it is, and unlocked the door. As an afterthought, she took one of the other keys off the ring and tossed it to me. Here's your key, don't lose it. I nodded and slipped the key into my pocket, making a mental note to get a keychain of my own soon. I followed Megan into her room. No, I corrected myself, not her room, our room. Sorry, that was my alarm. Yeah, I still have alarms that are set for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because sometimes I don't get up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't you gonna judge me? You gonna be Judgy Jason? No, you're not. The room itself was fairly ordinary and divided roughly in half by the furniture placement. It was immediately clear that the right-hand side of the room was Megan's, since it was the only half that looked lived in. I was a little surprised to see how low-key Megan's side looked. Going off what I had seen so far of her bubbly personality combined with the expectations I had from the American movies I had seen, I expected to be greeted by an explosion of pink pillows, strings of Christmas lights, and glitter everywhere. Instead, I saw a decor that was businesslike, bordering on austere. Her neatly made bedspread was a subtle, muted maroon. Her desk was organized without a single pin or piece of paper out of place. She did have a couple of stuffed animals on her bed, but they somehow seemed to be sitting with the posture of dignified businessmen there for a meeting rather than floppy friends. And instead of posters for bands or movies on her walls, there were only a few tastefully framed pictures of landscapes. The single exception was a pin-up style photo taped to the front of one of the wardrobes depicting a hunky boy lifting weights. I looked at Megan questioningly and she blushed. Oh, that's... Once you meet Paul Ryan and see him for yourself, you'll understand. I hate this so much, you guys! As plain as Megan's side of the room was, my side was even plainer. A little depressing, actually, with those empty walls and that bare desk. Megan seemed to be on the same page. Don't worry, we'll liven up your half of the room soon enough. Did you have space to pack any decorations? Ooh, it'd be cool to have some Japanese posters and paper lanterns and stuff in here. No, I didn't bring anything like that. That's okay, we'll figure something out. This is going to be your home for the next 6 months, after all. It's important to make it feel like a home. Megan heaved my suitcase onto my bed, then walked over to the window and threw the curtain open. The sunlight that streamed in made everything instantly look more cheerful. The view was lovely. Right below us was the lush green front lawn of Sunshine Dorm where Jeb and Marco were still sparring. Off in the distance I could see the elegant neo-colonial building that Megan had earlier identified as Peach Dorm. And further beyond that stretched the rest of the campus, both intimidating and exciting in its unexplored vastness. I felt as if my manifest destiny was to leave my mark on it. The wording in this novel, it's all done on purpose. I know it is. It's meant to evoke cringe, all the cringes. The next few hours passed rather uneventfully. I unpacked and put away my belongings while Megan chatted more about the academy, filling me in on school policies. What the best food at the dining hall was, which teachers to avoid, that sort of thing. After unpacking and taking a much-needed shower, it was already past 7 in the evening. Megan whisked me away to the dining hall and we squeezed in right before it closed. As we ate, jet lag started to hit me hard. Megan was understanding, she didn't insist on engaging me in conversation, and I was happy just to enjoy a hot meal in friendly silence. As soon as we got back to our room after dinner, I flopped into bed, ready to fall asleep for the next 15 to 20 hours. But before I could even fully shut my eyes... What are you doing? You can't go to sleep now, America. Tonight's the first debate of the year. I absolutely won't let you miss something this important. Debate? Who's debating what? Oh my gosh, did I seriously forget to tell you about the debate club? You mentioned it a few times, that's all. Why is it such a big deal? Oh, it's only the most important, prestigious, competitive, demanding club in the entire school. Pretty much every student dreams of being in the club someday. And if you're lucky and talented enough to get in, you're basically Grand Old Academy royalty. During the second semester of every school year, the club picks out the best from their ranks to have a series of public debates that showcase their talent to the whole school. And then the students vote to single out the best debater in the entire school. Winning the debate tournament is the highest honor you can achieve at Grand Old Academy. Well, second highest. See, each year's winner goes on to compete in inter-school debates. If you win those two and defeat the champion from a rival school, Dem High, well, there goes the sequel. We know there's going to be a sequel, probably, with Hillary and Bernie. You go down in history. Yawn, that's nice. I was starting to doze off despite Megan's impassioned soliloquy. When she noticed, she grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me awake. Seeing the friend's-old manic enthusiasm in her eyes was enough to banish my drowsiness, for the time being at least. Okay, I'll come with you to watch the debate. You won't regret it, America. I promise. You'll regret it. You'll regret it! I actually was starting to get excited despite myself. From my impression of her so far, it seemed to me that Megan was prone to exaggeration and over-enthusiasm. But something about her tone of voice told me that this time, the hype was warranted. I somehow mustered up the mental and emotional strength needed to roll out of my comfortable bed, and I followed Megan out of the dorm. I was starting to get the impression that getting dragged around campus by Megan would be a recurring theme in my life over the next few months. As we walked across campus, we were joined by more and more students all heading towards the same location. I felt like several of them were staring at me, but maybe it was only in my mind. The swarm of foot traffic honed in on the dorm building near the center of campus. Here we are, Hawkeye Dorm. Wow, it's pretty big. How many students live here? Not all that many, actually. About half the space in this building is devoted to an auditorium built specifically for this first debate. Wait, really? Megan nodded and kept heading forward. The debate club really must be a huge deal. The very architecture of the academy was designed to accommodate it. We filed into the auditorium with the rest of the crowd. The room was enormous with rows upon rows of seats. The stage was empty except for some unoccupied podiums placed evenly across it. By the time we arrived, the Hawkeye Auditorium was already packed with students, row after row of them like a field of corn. The mood was excited, anticipatory, almost giddy. It felt as if we were waiting for a sporting event more than a... Wait. It felt more like we were waiting for a sporting event than a debate. Shit, I can't talk. I was expecting Megan to return to her usual chatty self, as this seemed to be the kind of atmosphere in which she thrived. A social butterfly in a field of talkative flowers, each one ready to be pollinated with gossip. But instead, Megan was silent, leaning forward with her chin in her hands and her elbows on her knees, focused completely on the empty stage. I quickly counted the podiums that had been set up for the debaters. 17? Could that be right? How would a debate between 17 people even work? I have been asking myself the same question. The girl sitting to my right nudged me. Do you have your voting slip? Huh? I grabbed some extras. Here, take one. She presented me with a sheet of paper filled with names, each with a checkbox next to it. Glancing it over, I recognized the names of Jeb, Marco, and Donald, but the rest were foreign to me. Wow, look at all these people. What kind of name is Rand? Are Carly and Lindsay the only girls? Megan made a non-committal sound in response. At the top of the paper, there was instructions in a large, bold font. Vote for no more than 9 winners. 9 winners? I thought the point was to pick one champion. Oh, that doesn't happen until the final debate in July. These are the primary debates. July? But that's months away. I know, isn't it great? Megan's eyes were gleaming with the same frenzied spark again, and there was a broad smile plastered on her face. The drama, the excitement, the tension for 6 months straight. I look forward to it every year. And then this year, I was lucky enough to be chosen to moderate some of the debates. Well, not just lucky. I worked my butt off to earn the position. I'm so excited. It's going to be incredible. I'm sure you'll get into the spirit, too, once you see them in action tonight. America. I forced a smile and nodded as Megan's gaze snapped back to the stage once more. But internally, I had some reservations. Was Megan going to keep up the same level of obsession with the debates for the entire upcoming 6 months? It seemed like it would get exhausting quickly. But I told myself to keep an open mind. Who knew? Maybe I would really get sucked into the hype myself. The only way to find out would be to watch tonight's show. Soon, the lights in the auditorium began to dim. Students quickly found seats and hushed each other. All of them focused on the stage. After a few moments of anticipation, a student walked out onto the stage and greeted the audience. That's Chris Wallace. He got chosen to host this initial debate. Lucky SOB. I couldn't tell whether Megan had meant that comment as a joke or not. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first Grand Old Academy debate of 2016 primaries. The crowd went wild, applauding and cheering. After allowing the hubbub to ebb, the announcer continued. I will be your moderator this evening as we get to know the 17 students who represent the cream of the debate club's crop. By the end of tonight, we will determine which 9 will move on to the next debate held in historic Granite Dorm in exactly 1 month. And now, without further ado, please put your hands together to welcome tonight's debaters. One by one, students walked onto the stage and took their places at the podiums as their names were called in alphabetical order, blah, 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 I don't care. From Sunshine Dorm, Jeb Bush. I recognize the tall third year with the endearing grin from earlier in the day. He stumbled as he nearly tripped over a cable on his way to the podium, but caught himself in time to avoid catastrophe. From Old Line Dorm, Ben Carson. A student with warm eyes and a calm aura entered and took the podium next to Jeb's. From Garden Dorm, Chris Christie. A rotund student beamed and waved at the crowd with both hands as he took his spot. From Lone Star Dorm, Ted Cruz. He was smiling as he walked onto the stage, but the smile was desperate, plaintive, anguished. From Golden Dorm, Carly Fiorina. The stretched out smile that splashed across the student's face seemed to be causing her physical pain rather than an emotional pain of said smile. So I'm guessing that every dorm is like the state. I guess that makes sense. That makes sense in hindsight because I didn't draw the connection because I don't know the nicknames for every single state. I just know that Ted Cruz is from Texas, I think, so Lone Star would make sense. Okay, anyway. From Old Dominion Dorm, Jim Gilmore. I had absolutely nothing to say about Jim Gilmore, and I wouldn't imagine that anyone else would either. This game is killing me! This is killing me! From Palmetto Dorm, Lindsey Graham. Not a girl after all. Whoops! From Natural Dorm, Mike Huckabee. The student came across as friendly enough, but he seemed tired as if he knew in his heart that his best chances of winning had already come and gone. From Pelican Dorm, Bobby Jindal. Was it possible to be too earnest? From the look on the student's face, it seemed so. From Buckeye Dorm, John Kasich. It was almost astounding how little of an impression the student made on me. From Empire Dorm, George Pataki. Somehow this debater made even less of an impression on me than the former one. From Bluegrass Dorm, Rand Paul. A short boy twisted his thin lips into what almost passed for a smile as he came onto the stage. But despite his lack of natural grace, I sensed the passion in his eyes. From Lone Star Dorm, Rick Perry. In sharp contrast to Rand, this student immediately struck me as a natural people pleaser. He waved and ate up the crowd's enthusiasm as he took his place. From Sunshine Dorm, Marco Rubio. As Marco came onto the stage, the applause was punctuated with whistles of approval, shrill squeals, and a few cries of, "We love you, Marco!" From Keystone Dorm, Rick Santorum. For some reason, hearing this candidate's last name made me instantly think of something distasteful. But otherwise, there was nothing at all special about him. From Empire Dorm, Donald J. Trump. The volume of the crowd instantly kicked up by a few decibels. A few students even stood to applaud Donald as he came onto the stage, nodding in acknowledgement and smirking smugly as he knew that he deserved his fanfare. And finally, from Badger Dorm, Scott Walker. After the swell of enthusiasm for Donald, the entrance of this gangly student came across as an anticlimax. He took his place at the final podium to the accompaniment of a polite shattering of applause. Ladies and gentlemen of Grand Old Academy, your debaters! One final spurt of applause rose and quickly died down as members of the audience settled in, full of anticipation. And here we go! I tried to pay attention to the debate, I really did, but the combination of jet lag and anxiety about my upcoming classes made it impossible. All the students' arguments blurred together in my head, and by the time the debate had ended, I couldn't even remember a tenth of what anyone had said. I think I may have even fallen asleep for a while, which was not miraculous given that there were 17 voices all clamoring over each other, desperate to be heard. Don't worry, America. You're not the only one who just can't seem to pay attention to the debates. Because, I was snapped back into the world of the waking by a particularly sustained and passionate bout of applause. And one more time, let's hear it for all of our debaters. What a lovely start to this year's competition. Remember to drop off your ballots at the door as you leave the auditorium. We'll tally them up and announce the results as soon as we can, so feel free to stick around in the lobby until then. All around me, students were standing up, stretching, and chatting with their neighbors. I turned to look at Megan and saw that she had abandoned the air of austere focus that she had been cultivating for the last few hours, and had returned to her regular bubbly self. So, what'd you think, America? Was it as great as I told you it would be, or what? Yeah, it was thrilling. Megan playfully punched my shoulder. I knew it! You're definitely gonna fit in here, America, so who are you gonna vote for? I suddenly remembered the piece of paper that I still held in my hand. I don't know. Do I have to vote? Megan shrugged. I noticed she wasn't holding a ballot of her own. Aren't you voting, Megan? Nah. But you're so excited about all this. And you were paying such close attention. If anyone has a say in who moves on, it should be you. Still gonna be moderating in the debates later. I feel like I have an obligation to be neutral, but... Her eyes gleamed mischievously. I think it'd be fine if I give you advice on how you should vote, right? I guess, so who? Bush, Rubio, Graham, Christie, Jindal, Huckabee, Santorum, Walker, Paul. She rattled off the names one after another in a single rapid-fire sequence. I checked off the boxes next to those names as quickly as I could. Megan looked my ballot over and nodded in approval. Good choices, America. Are you sure I shouldn't vote for Trump? I said it playfully, but I saw a brief flash of sincere anger dart across Megan's face. Don't even joke about that. It would be an utter disgrace if that oaf is still in the running after tonight. Sorry, I didn't know that you felt so strongly. I won't joke about it again, I promise. I winced, hoping that I hadn't irrevocably ruined things with Megan. But her expression instantly melted into one of concern, and she clasped my hands in hers apologetically. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lash out like that, America. You didn't do anything wrong, believe me. But seriously, don't vote for him. Seriously, don't vote for him. Got it. Megan smiled at me and joined the crowd filing out of the auditorium. I followed her, relieved that things were still fine between us. But I was also more than a little curious about why Megan hated Donald so much. I knew that this was the wrong time to ask her about it, though. Once we made it to the lobby, Chris Wallace spotted Megan from the other side of the room and waved her over. Megan nodded at him, and then turned to me. I'm gonna stay here and wait for the results, okay? Do you think you can make it back to our dorm from here? Sure. I fought back my anxiety and forced a smile. I knew how much this night meant to Megan, and even though I was a bit nervous, I wanted to let her have this. Plus, I wanted to prove to her and to myself that I wasn't helpless. I was instantly rewarded when Megan beamed right back at me. Thanks, America. You're the best. I'll try not to wake you when I come back. Megan made her way over to Chris Wallace and began animatedly discussing the night's events. I took a deep breath and headed out of the Hawkeye dorm into the night. I was pretty sure how to get back to Sunshine dorm. I just hoped that pretty sure would be enough. It wasn't. I got hopelessly lost within minutes, finding myself among completely unfamiliar buildings. My heart began to race and I felt myself getting dizzy. Overwhelmed with anxiety and fear. I should have known better than to think I was ready to fend for myself in this new school, in this new country. Water. The beverage of America. Are you okay? Who is this? I couldn't help but jump when I heard an unfamiliar voice behind me. I turned around to find a doughy, cherubic face looking at me with concern. Yes, I'm fine. Except, actually, no, I'm not fine at all. I'm lost. Oh, it's Newt Gingrich! Oh, run! Run! Where are you going? I knew this campus backwards and forwards. I can help you get there, wherever it is. Sunshine dorm? Oh, then you're really in luck. I'm heading to Peach dorm, right next door. Just follow me. He took a right turn and led me down a well-lit sidewalk. Thank you, Newt. What? A newt? Where? I glanced around my feet. Why would there be a newt in a dry climate like this? And why would this kind boy point it out to me? Was this an American cultural thing? That's my name, Newt Gingrich. Oh my gosh. Oh, I see. What a bizarre name. You're probably thinking it's a bizarre name, right? No, of course not. That would be incredibly rude. Don't worry, it's fine. It's a weird name, I know. Newt turned back to me and shrugged awkwardly. I couldn't help but giggle. I'm Maury America. I'm a transfer student. I just got here today. You can call me America. It's not a name as unique as Newt, but it's up there. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, America. I'll never get over that. I will never get over that. We walked in silence for a while. Eventually, I started to see buildings that I recognized. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. If everyone at Great Old Academy was as kind as Newt, I'd definitely enjoy my time here. Were you at the debate tonight? Yes, actually. It seems like most of the school was. You're not wrong. All of us here are kind of obsessed with the debate club. I actually was up on that stage myself last year, but he trailed off and stopped walking for a moment. I just wasn't good enough, and that's that. No point in being bitter. Did you try to get up on the stage again this year? Wait, sorry, that's kind of a personal question. You don't have to answer it. It's fine, and no, I didn't. I'm a third year now, which means I'm graduating at the end of the year. Debates are a young student's game. That's what I tell myself, at least. I'm happy just cheering on the others from the sidelines, really. I mean, if someone were to ask me to coach them a bit, I wouldn't refuse, but I'm not going to go seeking it out. Ah, here we are, Sunshine Dorm. I had been so engaged in the conversation that I hadn't even noticed we'd arrived. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Newt. I reflexively bowed towards him, then instantly felt like an idiot. But to my relief, Newt didn't laugh at me or even look at me strangely. He just nodded back at me, turned around, and headed back towards Peach Storm. I made my way to my room and somehow managed to get the key into the lock before I fell asleep right there in the hallway. Now that the adrenaline from last year... Now that the adrenaline from getting lost was wearing off, I was ready to crash hard. Good night, Grand Old Academy. I stumbled through the door, kicked off my shoes, and flopped onto the bed. I was asleep within seconds. I dreamed of the men on the money that had intimidated me earlier that day. All of them stood in a circle around me, towering over me. Their skins all had a sickening green pallor. It made me feel nauseous just to look at them. I got to wonder how long this demo really is. But then again, VNs are traditionally long, so I don't imagine that it's going to be too much longer. Because it's free? I don't know. I can't tell. Yeah. They were all yelling at each other, pointing accusing fingers, stomping their feet in anger. I cowered under them and covered my head as they got more and more angry, their voices raising, their hands curling into fists. Just before they came to blows, I woke with a gasp. Bright sunlight streamed through the gap in the middle of the curtains. I groggily stretched and groaned. I grabbed my phone off my bedside table, afraid to check the timeline. 1? I had already wasted nearly half the day with sleep. I was furious with myself. To be fair, I had flown halfway around the globe just yesterday. If anyone else was in my situation, I certainly wouldn't begrudge them an excessive amount of sleep. But I tend to hold myself to unreasonably high standards for better and for worse. I noticed that Megan wasn't in the room with me. I figured she must have come back late last night, gotten a normal night's sleep worth of sleep, then gone out again. When I got out of bed, I noticed a note on plain white paper sitting in the middle of my desk, which confirmed these suspicions. It was written with the same neat block script that was on the whiteboard on our door. America, gone to the library to study. If you need anything, call my cell. Hope you slept well, Megan. Below, there was a telephone number and a small smiley face, and lying under the note was a folded-up map of the campus. As I entered her number on my phone, I silently wondered what I had done in a past life to deserve a roommate as considerate as Megan. By the time I had taken a shower and made myself halfway presentable, it was nearly 2. If I wanted to have lunch, I'd have to get to the dining hall fast. I had a much easier time navigating the campus in the light of day, and I was able to retrace the route that Megan had shown me last night at dinner without a hitch. I grabbed a tray, filled it, and headed towards the tables. As I expected and hoped, there weren't many people eating this late in the afternoon. There was only one person, in fact. It's Ben Carson. He was sitting at a table alone near the center of the dining hall. Near the center of... Typo! His nose was buried in a thick biology textbook that sat on the table in front of him. A nearby empty plate suggested that he had been reading for a while. Wait a minute, was he one of the guys from the debate last night? He was. What was his name? Ted? John? No, that's not right. He was Ben Carson. He was so engrossed in studying that he hadn't even noticed me. I figured I should probably let him read in peace. Then again, if I really wanted to fit in at Grand Old Academy, maybe I should push myself to be more outgoing. And what would be a better test for myself than talking to a debate club member? Yeah, I'm gonna ask Ben Ben, do you want to sit with me? You want to sit with America? I do it. I take a big risk, with the possible reward of gaining a new friend. I took a deep breath to calm my nerves and walked over to Ben's table. Excuse me, may I? What? Who? Yes! Oh, yes! He's asleep, as he always is. I'm sorry. I just love the meme that Ben Carson is just always asleep and never knows where he is at any given time. Ben bolted upright at the moment I spoke. blinking rapidly and looking around in shock. Had he been napping? Yes, he had. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. Oh, goodness. No, don't worry. It's all right. I was just a little startled, that's all. He smiled at me, looking a little bashful. I briefly considered backing out of my plan, but decided to go through with it despite this snag. I was going to ask if it was all right if I sat with you to eat. Oh, if that's what you want, I suppose it would. I mean, if you don't want me to, I can go somewhere else and... No, I want you to. If you want to, that is. Or not. Either way, it's fine. It seemed like Ben was just about as nervous and awkward as I was. It was strangely reassuring to think that a member of the fabled debate club might be shy too. I decided that the only way to cut the indecision this short was to just sit down at the table, so that's what I did. My name's America, and Ben is yours. Your name, is Ben. Stupid. Come on, brain, get it together. I'm Ben, yes? Ben had a soft voice and said every word slowly and deliberately. He would even occasionally shut his eyes while talking, as if constructing his sentences required great concentration. We both fell silent for several seconds. I poked some steamed vegetables around on my plate with my fork. I'm sorry. I'm not great at making conversation. That's alright, neither am I. Obviously. Maybe we could have a conversation about how bad we are at conversations. I laughed, but noticed that Ben wasn't joining in. Had he not meant that as a joke? So, why are you in the debate club then, if you're bad at conversation, I mean? It's a little strange, but I find that I feel much more comfortable speaking to a crowd than I do speaking to someone one-on-one. Do you know what I mean? Well, personally, I have trouble talking to crowds too, but I think I can understand how it would be easier for someone. Yes. Another long pause. This time, a pile of mashed potatoes was the target for my restless fork poking. Oh, yeah. Ben's gaze stayed fixed on the table in front of him. I think that I would have good ideas, and that people would be interested in hearing and interested in them. That's why I like to debate, When I take my time and really compose my thoughts, I think I have worthwhile things to say. Ben finally looked up and made eye contact with me. His eyes were warm and gentle. They made me feel cozy. That's good. Yes. After one final awkward pause, Ben stood and gathered up his textbook and lunch tray. I should get going. I need to study for my physiology exam. It was nice to meet you, America. It was nice to meet you too, Ben. Let's have lunch sometime. We can both practice our conversation. With that, he headed off. Once he was gone, I had to take a few seconds to clear my head. That certainly wasn't what I expected. A shy, soft-spoken nerd who was willing to get up on that stage in front of the whole school and go toe-to-toe with all those shouters. He must really have faith in himself. Oh, Ben, you left a textbook here. But he was already out of earshot. I picked up the book up, telling myself that I'd return it to him the next time I saw him. I quickly finished my lunch, which had gone cold during those long silences, and then left the dining hall as well. After lunch, I felt full of energy. After a quick detour to drop off Ben's book in my dorm room, I pulled out the campus map that Megan had left for me, and resolved to find all the classrooms I need to go to tomorrow. First up was my homeroom. I pulled up my class schedule on my phone. Let's see. Looks like all my classes this semester are in Beltway Hall, which should be in that direction. I started strolling to the northeast, ambling slowly, taking in the sights of the gorgeous campus. Its beautiful skies were so spacious, I passed by a bed of flowers. There were amber blooms that waved in the breeze, interspersed with tall stalks of lavender that stood high above them like majestic mountains. And as for the plain, well, there was simply no word other for it than fruited. Whatever that meant. I occasionally passed by other students out enjoying the sunny day. A few of them waved at me and I waved back. I was already feeling much less nervous than I had been yesterday. Everyone I had met so far in the United States was so warm and welcoming. Maybe this would be the best semester of my life. Just before I reached Beltway Hall, I saw a large clump of 15 or 20 students heading down toward the sidewalk towards me, all of them talking loudly and laughing. I was able to glimpse some tufts of orangish blonde hair sticking up from the middle of the pack. I stepped off the sidewalk and onto the grass to let my group pass by. As they did so, the outer shell of the swarm parted for a moment, and I caught a glimpse of the student at the center of the fawning crowd. Of course, who else could it be but Donald? Oh, God. He must have noticed me staring, because as he passed by, he caught my eye, winked at me, and pointed a finger gun of acknowledgement in my direction. And then, just as quickly as he had appeared, he vanished again back into the sea of admirers. Even though the whole ordeal had lasted only a few seconds, I felt as if I had just had a brush with something important. Something momentous. Something huge. I shook off the feeling and continued my walk. Finally, here it is, Beltway Hall. This was the single largest building I had seen on campus so far. It was 5 stories tall, and when I peered in the windows, I got the distinct impression that its internal layout was labyrinthine. The building's imposing granite edifice drained the enthusiasm from me, and my ebullient mood started to wane. I've checked my phone again. My homeroom was apparently room 045. Why do I keep right-clicking? But how easy would it be to find a single classroom in a building as huge and complicated as this one? I trotted up the steps leading to the building, approached its large double doors, and gave them a tug. Locked, of course. Why wouldn't they be on a Sunday? I guess I'm just gonna have to get here super early tomorrow morning and try to find all my classrooms before the first period. I let out a defeated sigh and prepared to return to my dorm, but when I spun around, I collided with a student who had been approaching me unnoticed. Excuse me, Hey, it's Rand! This is the only one that I'm actually okay with being... There's my alarm again. Hold on. Let's get some water. Excuse me, Oof! I toppled to the ground, and the boy stumbled back a few steps and dropped the clipboard as he had been holding. Sheets of paper flew from it and began to blow away in the wind. My signatures! He took a few steps to run after the papers, but then paused, turned back to me, and extended his hand to help me up. Are you all right? Yes, I'm okay. Don't worry. I took his hand and he pulled me to my feet. Once I was standing, I was a good 2 or 3 inches taller than him, my eyes level with his mussy clump of curly hair. As soon as he saw that I wasn't hurt, he picked up his clipboard and began tracing the loose sheets of paper blowing down the sidewalk without another word to me. Yeah, I'll help him. Sure. Whatever, man. Here, let me give you a hand with those. The boy didn't acknowledge what I had said, focused entirely on his task. While he frantically grabbed at the sheets that were making a break for freedom on the wind, I stooped down and collected some of the less feisty pieces of paper that were lying at my feet. When I looked them over, I saw they were filled front and back with line after line of names and email addresses. However, more than a few of the names struck me as odd. For example, I highly doubted that Farts McButt was a real person, and even if he had been, I was skeptical that his email address was actually secondrand@bitchass.biz. Once I had gathered all the pages from around my feet, I looked up to find that the mystery student he had nearly finished his half of the task as well. Only one piece of paper was still eluding him. It had found a perch in the branches of a tree, and it fluttered at him tantalizingly. He jumped at it, arm outstretched, but it was just barely out of his reach. I raced over to him to help. On the way, I passed a small gaggle of students walking by who pointed and snickered at him. And to be fair, it was kind of funny. But I felt like their laughter was maybe a little more mean-spirited than was warranted. I've got it. The boy glanced at me and stepped aside. I handed him the other sheets I had already picked up, then positioned myself under the page stuck in the tree, summoned all of my strength, and leapt into the air. At the apex of my jump, my fingertips were just high enough to brush the sheet of paper. Luckily, this gentle jostle was enough to dislodge the paper and send it fluttering to the grass below. Before it could land, the student snatched it from the air and added it back to his clipboard with the rest. Thank you. You're welcome. He didn't raise his eyes to meet mine. Even when he was thanking me, he seemed to be more embarrassed by this ordeal than I was. I contemplated just walking away then and there to spare his more tense silence, but I decided to press on in the spirit of boldness that I had been feeling so far today. What are you collecting these signatures for? What? As he said this, I finally looked at me in the eye. I had to fight back an involuntary gasp. His eyes were maybe the most beautiful that I had ever seen. Glacial blue-gray, piercing and somewhat watery, as if he had either just finished or was about to start crying. I felt as if I was gazing into a scrying pool, and that if I only peered long enough, I would see my future emerge from his pupils. I stood there wordlessly, transfixed, until he broke the spell by blinking. I quickly came back to my senses and regained my words. The signatures on these pages, is this a petition for something? Oh, yes, actually, it is a petition. We stood there uncomfortably for a few moments. I got the impression that he was feeling tense around me, as if he wasn't sure whether I would laugh at him the same way that the students who passed by earlier had. You're Rand Paul, right? How did you know that? He barked the question at me almost accusingly. I was at the debate last night. Oh, right. He looked at me he looked like he was about to say something else, but then he stopped himself. I think you were great. He blushed and tried to hide a small smile. Thank you. I wasn't lying exactly. I was asleep for most of the debate, true, but I didn't remember Rand making a complete fool of himself. Which is more than I could say for some of the others. Is your petition related to the debates? Sort of. It's about privacy. It's an issue that I care a lot about. And I'd love to talk about it during a debate, but most of the other debate club members just aren't interested in the topic. See, the Academy installed cameras on the outsides of a lot of the academic buildings and residence halls a few years ago, and they can monitor any information sent from an Academy email account, without even asking for permission. I think that's wrong. So that's what this petition's for. He looked up at me suddenly with hope in those gorgeous eyes of his. Do you want to sign it? Yeah, sure. I'm a fan. Sure, I think the privacy is important too. I took the pen he offered me and added my name to the petition. He took the clipboard back and read my name out loud. Mori America. I see. Thank you, Mori-san. I practically did a double take when I heard Rand say my name with near perfect Japanese pronunciation. Oh, you're welcome, but please call me America. I'm trying to be more Western with my name now that I'm living in the U.S. Alright, America. He still pronounced the re in America with slight Japanese lilt to it. It was sort of charming in an odd way. Are you the new transfer student? The diplomat's daughter? Yes, actually. How did you know that? I pay lots of attention to Academy politics. Oh. I keep doing that. Shit. Politics, so you're in the student government? Yes, I'm the RA of Bluegrass Dorm, and the class representative for the second-year students. In addition to being in the debate club? Yes. I suppose there's probably a lot of overlap between the debate club and the student government, right? Less than you might think, actually. There are plenty of people who can argue and love glory, but aren't interested in getting down into the nitty-gritty of actually improving their own school. Rand sounded more than a little bitter. To be honest, most of the reason why I joined the debate club was so that I'd finally be able to make people listen to my ideas about student government, like privacy, and balancing our school's budget, and auditing the Fed. What's a Fed? Nobody knows, which is why we need to audit it. Oh, this game is just too much for me, I swear. I guess so. Our school's constitution is very specific about powers delineated to the various bodies and administrative subsections of the academy. Rand pulled a folded document out of his pocket and waved it at me as he lectured. I gathered that it was a copy of the Constitution. Does he just carry that around with him everywhere? Article 3, Section 1 clearly states that oversight of the administrative departments is the purview of the board of the duly elected representatives from... My eyes started to glaze over as he continued. I was trying to pay attention, but dear God, it was boring. The importance of reducing the deficit, understand? I think so. Good. He pressed the copy of the Constitution into my hands. It's so nice to finally meet someone who cares about the real issues. I look forward to further conversations with you, America. With that, he pursed his thin lips into a smile, spun around on his heel, and abruptly walked away. Goodbye, Rand. But he was already talking to another student in the quad, holding out his clipboard and soliciting a signature. What a strange boy. He seemed quite smart and passionate, but he was also timid and suspicious, bordering on paranoid, and it seemed like he didn't have the best people skills despite being in the debate club. And why did he pronounce my name so well? So mysterious. I headed back to Sunshine Dorm, still nervous about tomorrow's classes, but feeling cautiously optimistic that I may have made a friend. As I approached the front door of Sunshine Dorm, I saw Jeb and Marco heading out of it. They were talking with each other, smiling and laughing and looking thick as thieves. They headed off across the lawn, and I felt a slight satisfaction at seeing such a close friendship. Oh no. Right before I reached the dorm's door, Jeb happened to glance back and see me. America, hi! Marco turned around too and waved at me. I waved back at them. Hello. Go on ahead, Marco. I'll meet up with you at the gym. Got it, buddy. See you there. They just bumped and Marco headed off. Jeb walked over towards me with his long-legged, slightly gangly gait. So how are you adjusting to the academy, America? Well, I've been here for less than a day, so I'm not sure I can really say yet, you know? Jeb's face melted into an expression of concern. Can I do anything to help? As your RA, I want Sunshine Dorm to be a welcoming place for you. And as a fellow student and a friend, I want you to be happy here at the academy. Oh, don't worry, I do. Feel welcome. Really, everything's going great so far. I'm glad to hear that, America. Here, I have something for you. Jeb reached into his pocket, dug around for a few seconds, and pulled out a handful of small green and silver objects, each of it the size of a marble. He plucked out one from the pile and returned to the rest of his pocket. I want you to have this. He handed the object to me. I held it on my palm and examined it. It was a tiny figurine of a turtle? A sea turtle. It's a metaphor, a reminder that slow and steady wins the race. You carry around a pocket full of turtles? Yes. He said it as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to let y'all go on this one. I don't know how much longer this is gonna last. I might have another part of this. It might be considerably shorter. I know this part was extremely long, but I just wanted to get it all done in one video because I don't want to spend too much time on this demo. I can't guarantee I'll actually play the game when it's out, but it is free, so maybe. I don't know. Either way, I think this is it's well made and it's well written. It's just so cringy, you know. It's conflicting. I'm conflicted. Either way, thank you all for watching. If you wanna give me some pointers on what you think about this video, what you think about this, how I do videos and how I conduct myself, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, push that little red button and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.